Need a mover and a seconder on that too, please.
Lori-Ann, I will move.
I'll second.
I will
Thanks,
second.
Either
Okay,
one.
so I have a mover for Reed, seconder done.
Good.
Thank you. We'll move on then. The next item is resolutions bylaw. And number one, first thing up is Borderland Pride. Follow up to May 12th, 2020 meeting and petition to council.
Mr. Mayor, I would
So
submit.
first you need to read the resolution, and then you move in a second.
Okay. Whereas Borderland Pride is the LGBTQ2 lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer questioning, and two-spirit pride organization for the Borderland region, which is comprised of the Rainy River District, Couchiching County, and the southern part of Treaty Number 3 territory. Pride events across Canada and the United States and around the world promote diversity and inclusion and take a positive stance against discrimination, hatred, and violence towards LGBTQ2 people. Pride is necessary to show community support and belonging for LGBTQ2 individuals and families, and LGBTQ2 identifying youth in particular. Acknowledging and participating in Pride underscores and affirms our respect for the dignity, equality, and visibility of the LGBTQ2 people and families. The diversity of sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression represents a positive contribution to society and is a matter for our community to take pride, show its support, and celebrate. The global pandemic has increased the isolation, anxiety, and insecurity of some of society's most vulnerable citizens, including LGBTQ2 people and youth. Pride has been observed and celebrated in the Borderland region and has become a highlight of the summer calendar. The values of diversity and inclusion should be shared in common by all people and known no border. The month of June is internationally recognized as Pride Month. Therefore, be it resolved that the Township of Emo hereby proclaims the month of June 2020 to be Pride Month in the Township of Emo. The Township of Emo will publicly display a Pride flag in a prominent location for the week in celebration of Pride, and all citizens are encouraged to reflect and work together on equality, acceptance, and inclusion for all people throughout the year.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would submit that we follow Robert Rules of Order. This resolution was brought forth at the last meeting, was voted on, and in the Robert Rules of Order, in order to reconsider a motion, a member of the majority of the vote of the original motion must bring forth the new motion to reconsider. As far as I am aware, unless somebody tells me differently, I don't know of anyone from the majority vote that is putting forth a vote to motion for the resolution to reconsider. So therefore, I would say the vote in May 12 stands, and as there is no motion on the floor, neither is there any debate.
Okay. That being said, I guess we will have to move on to the...
Richard, can you
Go
provide
ahead.
us with some clarity on that procedure, please?
I did read our procedural bylaw, and it didn't address that. It addressed that it was in the minutes, and we approved it that we wouldn't reconsider it, but it's not in our procedural bylaw.
Right. So our procedural bylaw is what we're required to follow, not Robert's rules. Robert's rules is a guideline. So.
And when presented with a petition, are we not supposed to address that petition?
Are you asking me?
Sure.
You guys talked about that before. You guys have talked about that before.
I know we've done it in previous times, right? With previous petitions, when they've been brought forward, we've addressed them. And I do have something, if everyone's okay with this, just to say and to read for everyone listening. If I may continue, is that okay, Mr. Mayor?
It is for sure.
Okay. Activism. This is the policy or action of using vigorous campaigning to bring about political or social change. All through history, there has been people in society that have been treated poorly, those who have been treated unequally. And all through history, there have been people and organizations that have stood up for the basic human rights of all. The women's fight for equality, to have a right to vote, to have equal pay and treatment. The Indigenous people who still fight for truth and reconciliation, equality and acceptance today. People with disabilities who continue to fight for accessibility in their lives. The history of these fights spans through generations. The resolution put before us tonight brings the fight of the Borderland Pride for inclusion in our communities. Their request isn't for recognition or glory. It is for the simple human right of equality and acceptance. The rights that so many people take for granted and have never had to fight for. Tonight, Emo Council has the opportunity to show leadership in our community and show that Emo is supportive and inclusive of all people that reside here. The request by Borderland Pride isn't just about flying a flag. My teen daughter understands this. She told me that it's about showing acceptance and love to everyone. It's showing that our community is open and welcoming to all people. It's not an option, but a necessity to show love, kindness, and support to all of our residents. And that's why I think we need to take this petition seriously and to readdress the resolution tonight.
Thank you, Lorianne. I went through the petition and there was approximately 29 actual residents from Emo. And this is the township of Emo and rural. And so if we're talking about a majority, Lorianne, if we're talking about what we voted on last week, and if we're talking about moving forward, I understand what you're saying, and I listened very carefully to what you just said. But there's no discrimination on my part. And I don't feel, and I was hammered badly for the past couple of weeks, and there's no discrimination on my part. Our hospitalization systems, all them systems that are put in place are there for all our citizens, for all people. And my feelings are still the same, and my feelings won't change. In a democracy, the majority rules. And if they were being discriminated against, it would be different. But there's no discrimination here. None whatsoever. So that being said, I don't think that this does have to go to a vote at all. I feel that the mission was brought forward because of the nay vote in our last vote. And the Robert Rules of Order, I feel, is what we're going to follow tonight and move forward. So anybody else have anything to say?
Mr. Mayor, may I have a few words, sir?
You most certainly can. Go ahead, Harold.
I'd like to begin saying I appreciate the work of our frontline staff. So, Bridget, if you could pass on not only to yourself, but to our town employees for the good work they're doing. I know some things have been said to them, and I regret that has happened. And I know with the work that they do that emotions run high sometimes, and that I do appreciate the work that they're doing in that context. I find it unfortunate that we're in the situation that we are currently in as a municipality. Divisiveness is not good or healthy. I feel I need to say something, whether you agree or not. At least I have the opportunity to express my feelings. I do so without prejudice. Many comments have been made about me, but I would like to clarify one thing. I believe that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. So do we have the same definition for love? I also feel that we need to be careful how we interpret data. Just because we have so many signatures or how many people viewed YouTube. I know that we're all part of the global community, but how many are from the township of Emo? Do decisions of previous council stay in effect when a new council comes in? There are 444 municipalities in Ontario, and not all councils approve of proclamations or declarations. So if a municipality has a bylaw that council will not endorse any declaration or proclamation, then all is good and you're lawful, and there won't be any of the issues that we're currently facing. I feel that there's something wrong here. We are using one law against another law, so we won't be breaking the law. Does that make sense? Are we using the law to force our views on others who don't share them? Because it's not the law. Look at what has happened in our community. I'm now of the feeling that it's not the proper role of a municipal government to have special days regardless who's requested. We know what's happening and going back to governing and building community. We are where we are. However, does this present situation provide us with an opportunity to get together and explore outcomes together for the future? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Harold, for your opinions, and that's very much appreciated, along with yours, Lori-Ann, and along with what I had to put forward there. Is there anything else?
So I'd like to make a couple of comments if I can. First of all, Harold Boven, with respect, what you're talking about is legislating away this problem, which I think is, quite frankly, unconscionable. I know that when this all started, when we were all elected, you spoke with Mike Hogater from the Christian Reform Center for Public Dialogue, and you were looking for advice on how to serve as a person of faith in public office. And one of the things that he said to you was that he emphasized the importance of seeking justice and the common good as a first posture of Christ-inspired political service. So justice and the common good. Did we provide justice to the LGBTQ community in Emo with our decision 2 weeks ago? I don't think that we did. I want to also say to Harold, a Quaker, I read what your granddaughter wrote on Facebook this past week, responding to someone who said something completely unacceptable and unconscionable about you, and I applaud her for doing that. It takes a lot of courage for someone that young to be willing to stand up for their family in a public forum like that. We need to support the people around us when they are attacked. But I want you to imagine that instead of you, that it was a young person in our community who was attacked on social media for who they are, and they don't have the support of their family to stand up for them. In Canada, the number one cause of death among children and young people is accidental injuries. The number one cause of death among LGBTQ kids is suicide. They are 13 to 14 times more likely to consider and attempt suicide than their heterosexual peers. And when we show them that we care for and support these young people in our community, that we create safe space for them, where they know that somebody cares and has their back, that we make a difference in their lives. The decision made by council last meeting does not create safe space at all. You're telling them that their well-being does not matter. When you spoke last time about flying a flag for the other side of the coin, Harold, the straight people, as you clarified, here's the thing. The pride flag is a rainbow of colors. It doesn't just represent the LGBTQ community at all. It is all of us, the full spectrum of diversity in our community. Pride is about everyone being able to live their authentic lives and an opportunity to celebrate diversity in all forms. But hearing the comments from the three who defeated this motion last time, maybe I need to put this into language that you'll accept more easily. And I mentioned this last meeting. One of the things that we have discussed around this table is that we have a duty to be fiscally responsible with how we spend taxpayer dollars. And I can tell you that in 1997, the mayor of London, Ontario, refused to fly the pride flag and refused to declare Pride Week. So 23 years ago, the Ontario Human Rights Commission decided that the mayor and the city had discriminated against the LGBTQ community. And both the mayor personally and the city were fined $5,000. That was almost certainly in addition to tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees that were paid for by that community's taxpayers. But you know what? I don't want us to make this decision tonight because of loonies. I want us to make it because of lives. You know, Warren, when I've seen you walking around emo holding your wife's hand, can you tell me that you've ever had slurs or epithets thrown at you by passing vehicles or rocks or bricks? These are realities for the LGBTQ community in many places. By refusing to support Pride Month, we are legitimizing the bigoted homophobes in our community who, based on some of the comments I've seen on social media, might actually think that these kind of behaviors and actions are okay. Pride wasn't born out of a need to celebrate being gay. It was born out of the right to exist without persecution. So instead of asking why there isn't a straight pride flag or a straight pride, we need to be grateful that we don't need one. You know, when we talk about proclamations in this town, when the Emo Walleye Classic approached council last year and 2 years ago and requested being recognized as a community event, there was literally no discussion. It was simply passed. Can any of you tell me what the difference was between that request and this one? I'm pretty sure I know what it is. And Harold, when you told TVT News last week, do you think of Emo as a good Christian-based community? I have to tell you something. My partner has been the United Church minister in this community for almost 23 years. She has a master's of divinity. I go to church almost every week here. For over 20 years, I've run Christian-based youth groups, youth events, and summer camps in our community. And our church flies the rainbow flag proudly 365 days of the year. So respectfully, please do not tell me how your decision was based on Emo being a Christian-based community. But I will add that I voted as I did last meeting, not because of my faith, but because of my belief in a just community. I'm actually aghast that here we are again. Respectfully, council's first decision was a dumpster fire of our own creation, and now despite it all, council is choosing to throw more fuel on it if we do not consider this resolution tonight. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Lincoln, for your point of view. Does anybody else got anything to add? Okay, that being said, we'll move on to the next item here.
So
And
to
that
be clear,
is Amanda.
just to be clear, none of the three of you are willing to reconsider this motion before us tonight. Just so we're abundantly clear. Harold Bovin, you're not willing to reconsider it?
That is correct.
Okay. Warren Tolles?
That is exactly what I said a few minutes ago.
Okay. And then Harold, the Quaker, you're not willing to reconsider it?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I would also add that as role of counselor, we have three roles to play. One is representative, one is policy setting, one is stewardship. And I'm voting, my vote came from the first one that follows through into the next two, and that is a representative. And I'm representing the voice of the people that voted me in by and large. Maybe there's somebody that didn't vote with that opinion, but I have not heard from them in the last 2 weeks. I've heard from most likely at least 50 different people affirming the vote and affirming that that was the way they wanted the vote to go. So I am just giving that statement that I am voting the representative vote, not just my own personal viewpoint.
So the 29 names that were on that petition, they don't matter then? Is that right? Because I know it's already clear, right, that the LGBTQ kids in our community, that they don't matter. So are you saying that those 29 don't matter either? It's only those who voted for you that matter, Warren? Is that correct?
That is not correct. Everybody matters and everybody is included. And I never, ever once, you put words in my mouth, you put words in Harold's mouth, you put words in Harold Bowman's mouth. And those are not true words. We do accept them. Everybody is to be treated as equal and not discriminated against. And that is where I stand.
Very well said, Warren, and I back you up 100% on that. That's my feelings exactly. I don't think anybody's being discriminated against here. I just feel that the majority rules, and that's the way it is. So are we going to move on now, or are we done debating, or what's happening?
So just so we're clear, right, that usually the groups that are cited, that you're citing, these are not equity seeking groups. Straight people are not equity seeking groups, right? Groups that have a history and a continued experience of persecution or marginalization. They are not considered immutable identities under the equality rights guarantees of the Charters of Rights and Freedoms, and nor are those characteristics protected grounds under the Ontario Human Rights Code, unlike members of the LGBTQ community. So,
Lincoln, I feel that you are construing things here, and you're wording this wrong. Nobody has expressed any discrimination, as Warren said when he said it. Everybody is equal, each to their own, the majority rules. And that's my feelings. And I don't feel that it should have to go any further than this. This is what it was put forward to our council, and it was voted down. And I would like to move on to our next item.
I am hopeful that you are all preparing messaging for what you will tell our taxpayers when we tell them how much money you are going to spend on this issue, when we could have literally done this without comment.
Mr. Mayor, we don't even have a motion on the floor. I think discussion should be closed.
I move to discussion will be closed as of right now, and we'll move on to our next resolution bylaw here from Amanda Keller here.
Procedurally, okay, Harold, I don't think you have the right to close the discussion. I don't think you have a right to close the discussion.
The way it's going, right or wrong, and I have always tried to do it on the honest side, but you are just continually bringing up the same thing, Lincoln, and you keep on going back to the fact that you're trying to say that we're discriminating against LGBTQ2 people, which is dead wrong. That is not the thing. And what you're doing now is you're threatening that there's going to cost us a bunch of money, and that is wrong too. We will deal with it as it comes before us. I'm trying to provide some leadership here, and you keep on bringing up what is not the truth. So we will move on then. And
so respectfully, Harold, I am not threatening, Harold. I am stating that is a possible and potential consequence of the actions of council. I am not threatening. So please do not make the intimation that I am.
One more question. When you have 29 from our municipality against our sign at the west end of town says 1,400, what does that tell you?
It says that I have 29 members of my community who are very concerned about the safety of kids in our community. That's what it says to me.
And like I've always said, I have no discrimination in me. I believe in all peoples, and that's the way it is. So
I'm very disappointed that we are not addressing the petition because 29 people in our community do care about this issue, and their views are important to me. And I think that we are doing a disservice to the Borderland Pride and to all that they are trying to fight for.
Any more on it?
I'm more than done at this point.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Amanda Keller. Be it resolved that we hereby acknowledge a letter from Amanda Keller regarding water issue at 30 King Street. I can bring you up on this. We're not going to deal with this now. Testing has been done and we're waiting for results. Okay? For now, we'll move on to our fire chief agreement. Can you